The Instagram notification popped up on my phone at 11:47 p.m. while I was reviewing quarterly reports from my resort properties across Southeast Asia. Dad's smiling face filled the screen, his arm wrapped around Mom as they posed in what looked like an airport departure lounge. The timestamp showed they'd posted this 3 hours ago, meaning they were probably already somewhere over the Pacific Ocean. Martinez family anniversary trip. 27 years strong. Off to Bali for 2 weeks of paradise. #family time, #blessed life, #anniversary goals. I stared at the post, feeling the familiar ache of exclusion settle in my chest. The family trip included my parents, my older brother Carlos with his wife Jennifer and their 2 children, and my sister Rosa with her husband Mike and their teenage daughter. 9 people celebrating my parents' milestone anniversary in one of the world's most beautiful destinations. 9 people, and I wasn't one of them. I scrolled through the comments quickly, my chest tightening with each enthusiastic response. Aunt Maria, have a wonderful time. You deserve this vacation. Uncle Pedro, paradise awaits. Take lots of pictures. Family friend after family friend wishing them well, asking about the resort, sharing in their excitement about this perfect family getaway. Not one person asked where I was. Not one comment mentioned the missing daughter. Setting my phone aside, I returned to the financial reports spread across the mahogany desk in my downtown Seattle penthouse. The floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panoramic view of Elliott Bay, where container ships moved slowly across the dark water. The numbers on the reports were exceptional. Martinez Hospitality International had exceeded projections again this quarter. Our collection of luxury resorts across Bali, Thailand, the Philippines and Malaysia had generated over $67 million in revenue, with my flagship property, Paradise Cove Resort in Bali, leading the way with an occupancy rate of 94%. The irony wasn't lost on me. While my family believed I was struggling as a failed travel blogger living hand-to-mouth across Asia, I'd spent the last 7 years building a hospitality empire that catered to the world's wealthiest travelers. What started as a solo backpacking trip after college, a journey my family had called an expensive way to avoid responsibility, had evolved into owning 12 luxury resorts across Southeast Asia. My phone buzzed with a text from Carlos. Wish you could be here, sis. Maybe next time if you get your life together and can actually afford a real vacation. This place is incredible, way out of your budget range though. The condescension in those words stung, but it was nothing new. For 7 years, my family had treated me like a charity case. The daughter who'd lost her way after college, who'd been wandering aimlessly across Asia instead of settling down with a proper career, a husband and children like her siblings had done. They had no idea that their wandering daughter owned the very resort where they'd chosen to celebrate their anniversary. I opened my laptop and pulled up the Paradise Cove Resort booking system. There they were, Roberto and Carmen Martinez, party of 9, presidential villa booking for 14 nights. The reservation had been made through a luxury travel agent in Phoenix, with a total cost of $168,000 for the 2-week stay. My parents had spent more on this family vacation than most people made in 3 years, and they'd done it while consistently telling me I needed to get serious about money and stop living in fantasy land. I picked up my phone and called Komang Suarta, the general manager of Paradise Cove Resort. It was 6:15 a.m. in Bali, and Komang would already be reviewing the day's operations with his morning coffee and the sunrise. Good morning, Ms. Martinez. Komang's professional voice came through clearly, with just a hint of his warm Balinese accent. How can I assist you today? Good morning, Komang. I just saw that the Martinez family has checked in. Roberto and Carmen Martinez, party of 9. Yes, ma'am. They arrived about 2 hours ago on the Singapore Airlines flight. They booked our presidential villa complex for 14 nights. The children are already asking about the kids' club, and the adults seem very excited about their anniversary celebration. I smiled at the irony. The presidential villa complex was our most exclusive accommodation, featuring 3 interconnected villas with private pools, personal butler service and direct beach access. The nightly rate started at $12,000. Komang, I want you to upgrade them immediately. Move them to the owner's Paradise complex. All 3 villas. Complimentary. There was a brief pause. The owner's Paradise complex? Ma'am, that's our most exclusive property. We typically reserve it for heads of state and Fortune 500 CEOs. The cost is $25,000 per night. I'm aware of the rate, Komang. This is a special request. Of course, Ms. Martinez. Should I mention that the upgrade is compliments of the owner? Not yet. Just tell them it's a special anniversary upgrade due to their long-standing loyalty to luxury hospitality. I'll handle the rest when I arrive. You're coming to Paradise Cove? How wonderful. When should we expect you? Tomorrow evening. Prepare the private owner's residence and clear my calendar for the next week. Certainly, ma'am. Should I arrange anything special for the Martinez family in the meantime? Arrange for champagne and tropical flowers in each villa. The premium welcome package. Also, reserve the private beach pavilion for their anniversary dinner tomorrow night. Full sunset dining experience with executive chef Nguyen's tasting menu. And Komang. Yes, ma'am. Have the spa prepare our signature couples treatment for the anniversary couple. The 4-hour Balinese royal treatment in the overwater spa pavilion. Very good, ma'am. Should I put this on your personal hospitality account? Yes. And prepare a full dossier on their stay preferences. I want to know everything: dietary restrictions, activity preferences, special requests. Everything. After hanging up, I immediately called my travel coordinator to book a first-class ticket on the next available flight to Bali. My schedule was completely flexible, one of the many advantages of owning your business rather than working for someone else. I could run Martinez Hospitality International from anywhere in the world, and frequently did, traveling between properties to ensure each one maintained the exceptional standards that had made our brand synonymous with luxury. The flight to Bali took 22 hours with connections in Vancouver and Singapore. I spent the journey reviewing detailed reports from all 12 properties, approving architectural plans for the new resort in Vietnam, and finalizing negotiations for a property acquisition in the Maldives. By the time we touched down in Denpasar's Ngurah Rai International Airport, I'd approved 2 major renovations and signed off on a $15 million expansion project in Phuket. My driver, Wei Yin, met me at the VIP terminal with his usual warm smile and traditional Balinese greeting. Selamat datang kembali, Ms. Martinez. Welcome back to Bali. The entire staff is very excited you're here. Thank you, Wei Yin. How's your family? Is your daughter still excelling at university? Yes, ma'am. Kadek is in her final year of hospitality management, thanks to the scholarship program you established. She dreams of working for Martinez Hospitality International after graduation. We'll certainly have a position for her. Bright, dedicated young people are the future of our industry. The drive to Paradise Cove Resort took 45 minutes through Bali's stunning landscape, emerald rice terraces, ancient temples, and traditional villages where children waved as our car passed. This island had become my second home, a place where I'd not only built a business but also discovered parts of myself that had been lost in my family's constant criticism and expectations. Paradise Cove Resort sat on 52 acres of pristine beachfront on Bali's southern coast, with the Indian Ocean stretching endlessly toward the horizon. I'd purchased the property 5 years ago when it was a struggling mid-range hotel, investing $12 million in renovations to transform it into one of the island's premier luxury destinations. The resort now commanded rates of up to $25,000 per night for the owner's Paradise complex, and we maintained a waiting list of ultra-high-net-worth individuals hoping to secure reservations. As we drove through the resort's entrance, past the infinity pools that seemed to blend seamlessly with the ocean and through gardens filled with exotic flowers and sacred statues, I felt the familiar sense of pride and accomplishment. This wasn't just a business. It was a dream made manifest through 7 years of relentless work, cultural immersion, and learning to see opportunities where others saw obstacles. The private owner's residence sat on a secluded peninsula, separated from the guest areas by tropical landscaping and discreet security. I designed it as both a residence and a working retreat, with floor-to-ceiling windows offering panoramic ocean views, a fully equipped office for managing the business remotely, and traditional Balinese architecture that honored the island's cultural heritage. Komang greeted me at the residence's entrance, accompanied by maid, the resort's assistant manager, and several staff members who'd worked with me since the early days of the renovation. Ms. Martinez, welcome home, Komang said, presenting me with a traditional Balinese welcome ceremony complete with blessed flowers and holy water. The Martinez family is settling in beautifully in the owner's paradise complex. They were quite surprised by the upgrade. How did they react? Very pleased but also quite curious. Mr. Roberto asked many questions about who had arranged such generosity. He mentioned that this level of hospitality was unlike anything they'd experienced, even at five-star properties in Europe and the Caribbean. Maid stepped forward with a tablet containing guest photos and notes. They've been documenting everything on social media. Mrs. Carmen posted that this is the most beautiful place on earth, and that whoever owns this resort understands true luxury. I looked at the photos on the tablet, my family lounging by their private pools, the children playing in the surf, my parents holding hands as they watched the sunset from their villa's terrace. They looked genuinely happy, relaxed in a way I rarely saw them back home where everyone was always stressed about work and obligations. Where are they now? The adults are having afternoon tea at the Clifftop Pavilion, and the children are at the Marine Biology Center with our education staff. They've made reservations for sunset dinner at Coral Restaurant tonight, and tomorrow they're planning a family snorkeling excursion to our private reef. I nodded. I'd like to observe them from a distance before making contact. Can you arrange that without them noticing? Of course, ma'am. The Clifftop Pavilion has several secluded observation areas with clear sight lines. An hour later, I was seated in a private cabana hidden among tropical foliage, watching my family enjoy their afternoon tea service. Dad looked more relaxed than I'd seen him in years, his usual business stress melted away by the tropical sun and luxury surroundings. Mom was radiant in a flowing sundress, laughing at something Carlos was saying while Jennifer took photos of the children playing nearby. They looked like the perfect family enjoying the perfect vacation. And they had no idea I was responsible for every detail of their perfect experience. Excuse me, Ms. Martinez? A server approached my hidden cabana with a silver tray. Mr. Suarda asked me to bring you afternoon refreshments and to inform you that the Martinez family has been making inquiries about booking future stays. The irony was almost too much to bear. What did they say specifically? Mr. Roberto mentioned to our concierge that this is the finest resort they've ever experienced. He asked detailed questions about ownership and management, saying he'd like to recommend Paradise Cove to his business associates and potentially book annual family reunions here. I watched Dad gesture enthusiastically as he spoke with Carlos about the resort's amenities, the private beach access, the world-class spa, the Michelin-starred restaurant. If only he knew that his disappointing daughter had conceptualized, financed, and created every detail of the experience he was praising. Also, the server continued, they mentioned hoping to bring their other daughter here someday if she could ever afford it. Mrs. Carmen said it would be good for her to see what real success and luxury look like. The words cut deep, but I kept my expression neutral. Thank you for letting me know. That evening, I watched from my residence as my family enjoyed their sunset dinner at Coral Restaurant. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, I could see them toasting their anniversary at the best table on our oceanfront terrace, their faces glowing in the candlelight as waves crashed gently on the beach below. They looked like a magazine spread about perfect family celebrations. Except one family member was watching from a distance, uninvited and unknown. The next morning brought the moment I'd been anticipating and dreading. I dressed carefully in a simple white linen dress, elegant but understated, and walked to the Clifftop Pavilion where my family was having breakfast. The morning sun cast everything in golden light, and the tropical breeze carried the scent of frangipani and sea salt. They were seated at the premium table overlooking the ocean, the tropical paradise spread before them like something from a dream. Rosa was showing Jennifer photos on her phone while the men discussed golf plans for later and the women debated which spa treatments to book. The children were already in the infinity pool, their laughter echoing across the water. I approached their table slowly, my heart pounding with a mixture of anticipation and dread. Good morning, I said softly. Dad looked up first, his expression cycling through confusion, shock, and something that might have been guilt. Isabella? What? How are you here? Hello, Dad. Everyone. Mom's coffee cup froze halfway to her lips. Isabella, sweetheart, what are you doing in Bali? How did you even know we were here? I saw Dad's Instagram post. And I live here part-time. Live here? Carlos asked, setting down his phone. What do you mean, live here? I mean, I spend about 6 months a year in Bali. It's one of my favorite properties. Properties? Jennifer asked, confusion evident in her voice. I gestured toward the resort spreading out below us. The infinity pools, the private villas, the pristine beach, the lush gardens. Paradise Cove Resort. Along with 11 other properties across Southeast Asia. The silence stretched for several seconds as they tried to process what I'd said. Isabella, Rosa said slowly, are you saying you work here? In a manner of speaking. Dad leaned forward, his businessman's instincts kicking in. What kind of work? Are you in management? Guest services? I own it, Dad. I own Paradise Cove Resort. The words hung in the tropical air like a thunderclap. Carlos's coffee cup clattered against his saucer. You own this resort? Mom whispered, her voice barely audible over the sound of waves. This resort and 11 others. Martinez Hospitality International. We generated $67 million in revenue last quarter alone. Mike, Rosa's husband, looked around at the luxury surrounding them with new eyes. This place must be worth $47 million just for this property. The entire portfolio is valued at approximately $280 million. Dad's face had gone completely pale. Isabella, that's impossible. 7 years ago you thought I was wasting my life backpacking through Asia. What I was actually doing was researching hospitality markets, learning local customs and languages, and identifying undervalued properties with enormous development potential. But we thought you were just traveling, Mom said weakly. I was traveling. I was also working 20-hour days, learning 5 languages fluently, negotiating complex property acquisitions, and building relationships with local governments, tourism boards, and cultural leaders. Carlos found his voice first. Why didn't you tell us? Tell you what? That I was building a business? I tried, Carlos. Remember when I called about my first property acquisition in Thailand? You told me to stop wasting money on vacation fantasies and get a real job. But that was years ago. 5 years ago. When I bought the Coral Bay Resort in Phuket for $4 million. It's now worth $18 million and generates $4 million annually in profit. Jennifer stared at me in disbelief. You've been wealthy this whole time? I've been successful. There's a difference. The upgrade, Dad said suddenly, pieces clicking into place. The owner's paradise complex, the champagne, the private dinner arrangements, the spa treatments. All compliments of the owner. Me. Rosa put her head in her hands. Oh my God, Isabella. We've been treating you like a failure. Like someone to be pitted and fixed. We didn't know, Mom said, tears beginning to form in her eyes. You didn't know because you never asked about the actual work. You saw backpacking and immediately assumed failure, irresponsibility, and wasted potential. But the lifestyle, the constant traveling, never settling down. The constant traveling is because I own properties across multiple countries that require hands-on management. I travel for business, not pleasure. And I have settled down, I've built something meaningful. Dad looked around the resort with completely new eyes. All of this, you built all of this. This and much more. The spa treatments you're enjoying, the restaurants, the private beach access, the kids' marine biology program, the cultural excursions. I designed every aspect of the guest experience. Why here? Carlos asked. Why Bali? Why Asia? Because it's beautiful, the people are incredible, and there was tremendous opportunity for luxury hospitality development that respected local culture. Also, because 7 years ago, you told me that successful people don't waste time in exotic third-world countries. The reference to his old dismissive comment hit home. Carlos winced visibly. Isabella, Mom said, reaching across the table with trembling hands, we're so sorry. We had no idea what you were building. You had no idea because you'd already decided I was a disappointment. It was easier to believe I was failing than to consider that I might be succeeding in an unconventional way. What happens now? Rosa asked quietly. Now you finish your anniversary vacation. The owner's paradise complex is yours for the full 2 weeks, along with any amenities you'd like to enjoy. And after that? I stood up from the table, looking out over the resort I'd built from nothing. After that, we see if there's room in this family for the person I've become, rather than the person you wanted me to be. Isabella, please don't leave like this, Dad called as I turned to go. I'm not leaving. I'll be here for the rest of your stay. but I think you all need time to process this. That evening, I received a text from Mom. We love you and we're proud of you. Can we have dinner tomorrow? All of us together as a real family. I smiled, typing back, dinner at Coral Restaurant, 7 p.m. I'll ask Chef Nguyen to prepare something special, a traditional Balinese feast to celebrate family. The next night, as we sat around the table overlooking the ocean I now owned, Dad raised his glass with tears in his eyes. To Isabella, who built something beautiful while we weren't paying attention. We're sorry we missed the journey, but we're grateful you've given us a chance to be part of the destination. As the tropical sunset painted the sky in brilliant oranges and pinks, and traditional Balinese music played softly in the background, I realized something important. Sometimes the best revenge isn't proving your family wrong about your failure. Sometimes it's proving them wrong about what success looks like. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, they'll love you enough to admit they were wrong all along.